Hi guys, welcome to Little Wicket Railway. I'm Rob, and in this video we're fixing a Hornby Princess Royal. This is a model that came as part of the Royal train set, and I picked this up secondhand quite some time ago and I've been wanting to review it, but I haven't been able to because the locomotive doesn't run properly. As you'll see from the video, it's stuttering. Every rotation of the wheels it kind of gets stuck and then carries on again. And the reason I wanted to share this particular repair video with you is because the cause of it was something that I've not seen before. Previously, when I've had a jumpy or stuttering locomotive, it's been something to do with the electrical connections, the motor, or the linkages or valve gear not being aligned correctly. But spoiler alert, this turned out to be one of the internal gears which are completely cracked. I think this model is about 8 years old, and I don't know the history of it because it's secondhand, but I suspect that part might have lasted a little bit longer had the previous owners serviced and lubricated it more often. You'll see in the video that the model was originally analog and I fitted a decoder to it, and if you're wondering why I fitted a decoder to a broken locomotive, that's because I was fairly confident I knew what the problem was and that I could fix it. Anyway, here's the model. I'll show you what the problem was and how I went about fixing it.
I've already got the bodywork off. That's just held on with a screw at the front that passes through under the driving wheels, and there's a slot at the back, if I can get this to focus, just here below the firebox, and there's a tab on the back of the loco just above the rear wheels that slots into there. So let me show you what the problem is. Let's put it on a low power, and you can see it's sticking every rotation. It sticks and it goes and it sticks and it goes and it sticks. So I've checked all the linkages and the valve gear and they all look good, so I had a suspicion that the problem might be related to the internal gears. So to get to them, we need to remove a small screw on top. So I'll just place that down here, move the rolling road out of the way. And here's the screw we need to remove. So we need a small crosshead screwdriver. And I might need to just temporarily move the decoder out the way so we can get to it. Once that's out, the housing just comes away and it reveals the worm gear that's attached to the motor. Be careful with this screw because it has actually got one of the connections for the motor on it. Then we've got another screw that is under the rear wheels that we need to remove. Again, be careful here because there are wires attached to the tender coupling and these are really fragile, so when moving the rear wheels out of the way you need to be careful not to dislodge those. So that screw just comes out. And then we can slide the retaining clip backwards slightly. And the motor should just lift away now, and we can bring that over to the side that the wires are on, and that gives us access to the gears inside. So if I grab my tweezers, these should just lift away, and here is our problem. We've got a small crack running all the way through this smaller gear. Now, it might be possible to glue this back together, but I would much prefer to replace it. So what I need to do is go onto the Hornby website and find the service sheet for this locomotive. So it's a Princess class, and then here's the service sheet. We want part number 5 is the gears. And then using the table, we can see that this is Hornby reference. I think this is R1045. It's Hornby reference X8849. So I jumped on eBay and I found X8849 for sale for £3.99 plus £2.50 postage and packing, and I think that's not too bad to get a locomotive up and running again. So 8849 has arrived, so let's take this out the bag, and you just need to double check that it comes with 2 smaller gears, so I've made sure I'm using the right one, and then that just drops back into place, and there we go. Oh, before we put the motor back on, I should probably put some grease onto there to stop the same thing from potentially happening again. I'll just put a couple of blobs onto both of those gears, and that'll work its way in when we give it a bit of a run. So now we can carefully drop the motor back into place, making sure that the gears align with the worm gear. We'll slide that rear retaining clip back on, making sure not to trap any of the wires. Then we can put the small screw in at the back to hold that in place. And then we can replace the cover over the worm gear. Just make sure that that contact lines up at the front. And that's all secure, and we'll tape the decoder back on, and then we can give it a run on the rolling road. So pop that back on. I'll just add the tender in this time because it's got pickups on the tender, and I want to give it the best opportunity for getting a good connection. So let's turn it on. And it looks like that has worked and it's running smoothly. So we'll let that turn for a bit just to let the grease work its way in. Even a really small crack like this in a gear can cause really poor locomotive performance. That's why it's really important to service your locos on a regular basis and make sure that you're using the lubrication on there. So let's get the bodywork back on. And it's a pretty tight fit with this bodywork, especially when I've put the decoder in. Getting this clipping can be a little bit fiddly, but if we can get that bit in, then the front should just drop on. And I think I've dislodged a bit of the valve gear here, so we just drop that back into place using the tweezers. And then that's the front on, so we can get the screw in now. And then you don't want to tighten this as tight as it can go, just so that it's secure. We'll drop this back on the rolling road and make sure everything still works. Here we go. And that looks beautiful. So I think this locomotive's had a rather tough life so far. I've got a couple of parts here in a bag that I still need to reattach, but at least it's running and it is now a digital locomotive, so I'm really pleased with that.
So hopefully you found that useful, and if you've got a locomotive with a similar problem, then this might have given you a clue as to what's causing it and how to go about fixing it. As I said at the start, this model's from the Royal train set, which I plan to review in the near future. So if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe and hit the notifications button so you'll be the first to know when that video comes out. Thanks for watching, and I will hopefully see you again soon.